In the quaint town of Maplewood, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests, a chilling legend had taken root. It was said that every 10 years, on the night of the harvest moon, the shadows would come alive, whispering secrets of the past to those brave enough to listen. Most dismissed it as folklore, but for Emma, a curious journalist with a penchant for uncovering the truth, it was an opportunity she couldn't resist. As the harvest moon approached, Emma prepared for her investigation. She had heard stories from the townsfolk about strange occurrences, disappearances, eerie sounds in the woods, and flickering lights in the old abandoned mansion at the edge of town. The mansion had been uninhabited for decades, ever since the mysterious disappearance of its last owner, a reclusive artist named Victor Hale. On the night of the harvest moon, Emma arrived at the mansion just as dusk settled over Maplewood. The air was thick with anticipation, and a sense of foreboding hung over her like a shroud. Armed with only her flashlight and a notepad, she stepped through the creaking front door. The interior was cloaked in darkness, dust motes dancing in the beams of her light. As she explored the ground floor, she felt an inexplicable chill creeping up her spine. The walls were adorned with faded paintings, haunting portraits that seemed to follow her every move. She paused before one particularly striking piece, a self-portrait of Victor Hale. His eyes seemed to glimmer with an otherworldly intensity. Suddenly, a soft whisper echoed through the room. Emma froze, straining to hear. "Help me!" It beckoned, barely audible yet unmistakably clear. Heart racing, she followed the sound deeper into the mansion. The whispers grew louder as she ascended the staircase, each step creaking ominously beneath her weight. At the top of the stairs, she found herself in a long hallway lined with closed doors. The whispers seemed to emanate from behind one door at the end of the hall, a heavy wooden door that looked as if it hadn't been opened in years. Taking a deep breath, Emma approached and turned the doorknob. It creaked open to reveal a dimly lit room filled with canvases and art supplies scattered haphazardly across the floor. In the center stood an easel with a half-finished painting, a landscape that seemed eerily familiar. As she stepped inside, Emma felt an overwhelming sense of déjà vu wash over her. The whispers intensified around her. "Finish it. Finish what I started." Compelled by an unseen force, she moved closer to the easel. The painting depicted a scene from Maplewood, the very hills and forests surrounding her, but there was something sinister lurking in its depths, shadowy figures hidden among the trees. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept through the room, extinguishing her flashlight and plunging her into darkness. Panic surged within her as she fumbled for her phone to use its light. When she finally managed to illuminate her surroundings again, she gasped. Standing before her was Victor Hale himself, his ghostly figure translucent yet vivid against the backdrop of his unfinished work. His expression was one of desperation mixed with sorrow. "Why are you here?" he asked, his voice echoing like distant thunder.
I came to uncover your story," Emma stammered, fear gripping her heart.
"The shadows. They are not what they seem," he warned urgently. "They feed on fear and regret. I tried to warn them, but they took me instead." Emma's mind raced as she pieced together his words. "You disappeared because of them? What happened?" Victor gestured toward his painting. "I captured their essence. But I couldn't control it. They wanted to be free." Just then, shadows began to swirl around them, dark tendrils creeping along the walls and floor like living entities hungry for release. Emma felt their cold touch brush against her skin as they whispered incoherently. "Finish it," Victor urged again, desperation lacing his voice. "You must finish what I started. Only then can you break their hold." With trembling hands, Emma picked up a brush from the cluttered table and dipped it into paint that seemed to shimmer with an unnatural glow. As she began to paint over Victor's work, she felt an electric energy coursing through her veins, a connection forming between them. The shadows writhed in agitation as she painted furiously, capturing their essence on canvas while trying to infuse it with light and hope instead of fear. With each stroke, their whispers grew louder, angrier yet more desperate. "Stop. You cannot contain us," they hissed. But Emma pressed on, pouring every ounce of courage into her work until finally, she completed it. The painting transformed into a vibrant depiction of Maplewood bathed in sunlight. Shadows were woven into its fabric but now held no power over it. As she stepped back to admire her work, Victor's spirit began to glow brighter until he was enveloped in radiant light. "You did it," he exclaimed joyfully as he began to fade away. "You freed us." With one final surge of energy, Victor's spirit merged with the painting before dissipating into shimmering particles that danced around Emma like fireflies. The shadows shrieked in fury before vanishing into nothingness as dawn broke outside, the first rays of sunlight streaming through broken windows and illuminating every corner of the mansion. Emma stood alone in silence for a moment before stepping outside into a new day, a day free from fear and darkness. She had uncovered not just Victor Hale's story but also released him from his torment. As she walked back toward town under the warm glow of morning light, Emma knew that Maplewood would never be quite the same again. Its secrets had been laid bare, and so had its potential for healing and hope amidst lingering shadows.